my friend Jack, I texted him when I was in America because we had plans for the evening, but we didn't know exactly them. So I just texted him the word plan ? So he texted me back the dictionary definition of what a plan was. Hilarious, but irritating.
But he was correct. Hi, I'm John. I've got myself a new microphone, but a cold. So my audio quality's gone up and my voice quality's gone down.
And I'm John, and I'm my mother's favourite son.
And I'm not John, and I have been summoned to court for racially aggravated assault as a witness.
Very thought you weren't going to put that on there.
Enough as a witness. Welcome back to Would John or Not John, sometimes rather or not rather, depending on the time of the day and the week. A podcast where a John or a not John asks a John or a not John or two Johns questions that relate to a would you rather scenario. Sometimes they're good, sometimes they're interesting, sometimes we just scrape by. I would like to point out before we begin, as we were discussing before the podcast, if my math is correct, we've not been live for, but this does mark, when this goes live, exactly 6 months ago we began recording.
Yay! Go us.
A milestone. And as you can hear by the two Johns, one is pretending to be excited and one is nonplussed.
Congratulations, Johns and not Johns.
Thank you for all our listeners.
I wish I was good enough at editing to just edit in the blower sound where it's got the tinfoil whistle. Where is it?
I thought you were going to put some like vuvuzelas and like some World Cup crowds cheering us on.
I mean, I can try. As I just said, I'm very soon about to go into a couple of 6-day weeks, so my time will be limited. But I'll see what I can do. And more importantly than that, I'm getting summoned to court, so time is limited.
Tell it to the judge.
Very nice. Very nice.
Right, well, shall we dive right in? Would you rather never be able to make a pun again, or never be able to tell a joke that wasn't a pun?
Never be able to tell a joke that wasn't a pun. I'm imagining, John, that you were doing the same thing in your head and trying to figure out what the difference was. It took me a second.
Yeah. I'd happily not do puns. They just don't come quite as thick and fast as they do to you two.
I bet they don't come as thick and fast as they do to us two.
That's innuendo.
Yeah, it's basically a pun. It's a play on words, isn't it?
No, it's not. It's an innuendo. Which I could have. So you couldn't have innuendos.
No, I'm sure innuendo comes under pun.
Not really. Innuendos are when you say one thing and mean another. Normally it's a sexual innuendo. Normally that's what they are. A pun is just a simple play on words. Think of all the jokes I could have. I could have like really racist jokes. I could go for the dumb blonde jokes. I could go for simple not jokes. Think of all the horrid Christmas cracker jokes that just make everyone groan. I could have those ones. And at the same time, some of them would be brilliant. Some of them would just be goddamn awful. Whereas most puns are just terrible. Like, out of 10 puns that you two do, there is one that I go, yeah, okay, I'll give you that. But neither of you two, I'm sorry to stamp on your dreams, but we have a listener that's not John's brother that all three of us aspire to be like. And if either of you two were that good, then I'd probably have to back down in this argument. But that's not the case, so I feel happy to wade in on this.
Now, I resemble that remark because
You resemble it?
Yeah.
Of course you do, because he's your brother.
He learned everything about punnage from me, and
then took it to an extreme.
I had a friend at university who had enough of my puns, and I made it my point to make even more around him because he hated them. And I'm sure John will agree, there's no better response to a pun than a groan, or not a sneeze, sorry, but silence, potentially. Sorry, I will continue, but a fly just flew into my headphones and was crawling in my ear. A groan or silence.
You know what that sounds like? That sounds like a setup to a joke.
No, it's not. But I said to him, he said, "Oh, what's your brother like?" I said to him, he's better looking than me, but he's essentially the same as me. And they said, oh, I can't deal with two of you. I went, okay, fair. And that was the end of the conversation. Anyway, everyone came up, of which I believe John was able to come, but John, you weren't able to make it, where they all dressed as crocodiles for Peter Pan theme, and I spent the night in bed because I was extremely ill, and that's my excuse and I'm sticking to it. But while I was still, before I got to the ill point where I was trying my best to entertain, we were stood there and my friend Will said, and I quote, I can't fucking deal with two of you, and walked away and just left. And he refused to be left alone with both me and my brother at the same time.
He hasn't been seen since.
He hasn't been seen since.
Have you got a pun about that?
No?
No, it's a good anecdote. And if the anecdote had a funny ending, it almost could be considered a joke.
But it doesn't, so it wasn't. So I've not broken any rules, have I now?
No, but you've got to try harder with your stories.
What do you expect? He just made it up on the fly.
Very delicious.
But that was, his story was like different to the fly.
Well, you still got
This
it.
is, no.
Ah,
That was tenuous. That was
doesn't
so
that
tenuous.
Doesn't that groan just make you feel so amazing inside?
No, the groan was for how tenuous it was.
I don't think you said tenuous enough.
Okay, so tell me some more about your favourite non-pun jokes.
My favourite
Go on, take a punt.
Is that a very, very strained link to the fact that I used to work in Cambridge, or because I've never been on a punt in my life?
No, it was just a combination of the fact that we're talking about puns and also something when someone says to have a go.
I'm going to have a go at you in a minute. My favourite jokes are the jokes that make you groan worse than puns. We had a chap at work. His name is Roger. He will never listen to this podcast, so I'm not going to feel too bad about name dropping him. But he'd tell you a story, and you get hooked in, and he'd go on for like 5 minutes. You'd be really, really committed, and then out of nowhere, he had the punchline to a joke, and you'd fall for it every time. He was so good at telling jokes, as they were normal stories, and you groaned so hard because he knew that he had you, and he just kept spinning the yarn, kept drawing you in, and then bam. The amount of times he did that to me were numerous, and they were always good. And I think I've groaned harder to a Roger joke than I have either of one of your two puns.
Okay, I'm listening.
I feel like we need an example, don't we?
Example. I haven't worked with Roger for about 4 years now.
Yeah, well, so what you're telling me is Roger's very good at telling non-puns, but we're not talking about Roger, we're talking about you. And you've clearly just demonstrated you can't do it as good as Roger.
That's fine. But I think I prefer to recite one of his puns, recite one of his jokes, if I remembered it off the top of my head, than I would just injecting useless fucking tangent words into other people's conversations.
No,
puns and sarcasm are very, very close. One of them is just
annoying,
and the other one is very annoying.
Puns, for me, and my brother would agree, it's muscle memory and it's practice. It's like magic. Any magician worth his salt will tell you it's just sleight of hand. It's just constantly practicing the same things. If you said to me now, here's your topic, and we used to regularly do it actually when I was living in the States. Whoever was on the, strangely enough, when we used to do family fun days on a Sunday, I know, but whoever was on the ice cream stand, usually my friend Levi, and I'd say to her, today's topic is golf. Today's topic is fish. Today's topic is bears. And every time I walked past, I would just say a different pun. I have set up a challenge, which I open up to Twitter, to all of our 80 or so weekly listeners or whatever it is. If you make a sexual Christmas pun that I have never heard, I will give you £10 of my own money. Because every Christmas I make this challenge to everybody I work with, and nobody has ever come up with one. Every topic has a list of puns that you can make. Fish is the perfect one. It's so easy to do. I'm not going to tell you one just for the halibut, but...
Oh, just reel us in.
Yeah, I know. And then there's John over there going, oh my God, here they go. But it's just muscle memory, and you learn more as you go. Go on.
Salmon coming. Oh, that didn't
No,
really work.
that was shit. Okay, John. Right, just admit it. If you ever tried to be funny, and that came out in front of a group of people that aren't your friends, do you think they'd ever become your friends after that? Forcing puns where they just don't go.
No, but you don't make friends by making puns, but you keep friends by making puns. And it's not even puns, but awkward scenarios. They're amazing. I mean, I'm quite sure you were there as well, John, but when we were sat in my hotel having drinks with people from work, and John just said the word lettuce. Now, in his head, and self-admitted, it was relevant to something someone had said. Nobody, including myself, knows what the fuck he was talking about, but he found it funny, and who gives a shit about anyone else, because he said the word lettuce and then giggled away to himself. Everyone else thought he was odd. I knew that he was referencing something, and to this day, I don't know what it was. He doesn't remember what it was, because I didn't ask him till the next day, but it was good enough for him. Why should you make humour for other people? Humour should just be for oneself.
Let us always be friends.
Knock, knock.
Go on. Who's that?
No one gives a shit about puns.
Oh.
See, that wasn't
All right.
very punny.
No, it wasn't. That was deliberately not punny.
Puns win.
That was a loaded question. You're full of shit, John. Just saying. Bring back Matt. He was cruel but fair.
Oh.
Yeah, I mean, what sort of deranged lunatic would have decided who was going to win before they asked the question?
Oh, dear me.
At least when Matt does it, he doesn't make it quite as blatant.
I think I won that.
Hey guys, do you want to be my best friend, or do you want to be my worst enemy? My best friend wins! Yay!
I think, to be fair, John, that came down to who could figure out the question he asked first, and I just pipped you to the post, much like an Apple salesman.
I mean, if you got a problem with that, just let us know.
That's twice now, John.
They were slightly different.
See, John is still laughing at a joke he made that no one got 10 years later. That's how good it was.
Right. So,
John, is everything okay?
Is everything, yeah?
You're just giggling a lot of lettuce, and it wasn't that funny at the time because no one knew what you were laughing at.
Hey, John, let us continue.
Hey! See, that would have won it for you.
But I chose to tell normal fucking jokes, John.
Yeah, but you know what also your big failing was? You didn't tell a single fucking joke. Anyway.
Put me on the spot. I'm not a comic. I don't have a routine set up.
Anyway, it's time for the Twitter bit, so let us begin. If you want to contact the main Twitter, it's Would J Rather. Tweet me your favourite fucking salad dressing, seeing as we're talking about lettuce. I don't know.
If you want to get in touch with me, my favourite method of communication this week is skywriting. So if you'd like to jump in a plane and give us a message over the Thames, that would be just spot on. Yeah.
Spiffing.
Splendid. Right. My Twitter is John Would Rather, no H, because I just don't find them funny.
Shame. So Matt, this week you're going to court. While we're talking about courting, in your favourite nightclub, trying to impress a lady, would you rather do as the birds do and strut around a feather plumage, or charge headfirst into another dominant male like a deer?
Plumage.
Why am I not surprised that the man who likes really colourful vests also wants a feather plumage?
Well, I'll give you various reasons. Number one, I like bright colours. I've got a big chest piece. There's something to be said for peacocking. I've always said I'd rather be remembered as the weird one at the party than not remembered at all. Number two, I have a crushed blue velvet dinner jacket. Not much more to be said. And number three, if you look at Jonathan and myself, I'm just looking out for us. If John was to charge headfirst into another human being, they're more likely to accept that as, okay, that's fine. if I did it, it'd be like it's the difference between a Great Dane and a Pomerian biting you.
What's a Pomerian? Pomeranian?
Oh, I phrased it wrong. I pronounced it wrong. Even sorry, Pomerian. That's what I meant. But
Pomeranian.
that's the difference. Like John looks a lot more like a man than I do.
Thank you.
And I can tell by your hesitation in saying thank you that you think I'm going to tell it. There is no joke. There is no backhanded compliment meant by this. You are much more of a man than I am, so I'm going to stick to my strengths. I have always.
I've got dad bod.
I mean, you've always had dad bod, even since I've known you from when you were 17.
Mate, when I was 24, just before I got married, I slimmed right down. I looked, passable at a beach. Now it's just full on dad bod. It's terrible.
Yeah, to be fair, you went from dad bod at teenage years into bod, and then you've not even gone back into your teenage years of dad bod. You still kept very trim.
John, you were just about to tell me why you'd rather run headfirst into dominant males.
Why the fuck not?
Good answer.
If we're going to go with the biggest and the best wins a day, I'm not generally the biggest person in the room anymore. I've since grown up and moved out, and I'm now slightly in the countryside. This is big jolly farm lads, but I'm going to use my ideas to help me. So I'm going to distract them temporarily, and then do I have antlers or am I just headbutting people? I've got no appendages. I'm just going to straight up Glaswegian kiss them.
I mean, it's up to you.
See,
I said it was.
Go on, sorry.
I said it was like a deer, so I mean, you're welcome to have antlers if you want.
I love antlers. Can I have detachable ones? Because walking through a door in a pub with antlers on would be very difficult.
Especially a proper old pub.
Yeah, or do I wait for the guy to come outside and then blindside him with my antlers and just take him out?
That might work.
I find someone like Matt, and what I'd do is I'd gore them with my antlers and then lift them up over my head, because then they could see how dominant I was. Because not only have I just skewered him and he's definitely going to lose, I've picked him up and I'm just walking around with him like as a hat.
I think that would impress the ladies.
I think that impress most people.
When it comes to how you're talking about, because you're not an aggressive person, John.
Not really, but I found my mate. I chilled out. I don't see the red mist anymore.
But I have seen you see the red mist, and you remind me of, and this might be quite a specific reference, but I'm sure you'll remember it.
Do not say Red Ross.
No, on Skins.
Good.
Do you remember? I think it was Maxie's dad, who was played by Bill Bailey. And he'd walk around and he'd be like, "You're right, my lover, how's it all going?" And he was really friendly and from the West Country, and it was all golden. And then when someone threatened him, he just turned into this absolute fucking maniac, and he was like, "Right, you listen fucking here," and proper and then let go of him and went, "Does that all make?" and patted him down and went, "Does that all make sense, my lover?" And that was it. And everyone went, "Oh shit!" And all the hard dads of the chavvy kids on the estate were like, "You were messing with this kid?" "Oh yeah, because he's gay, that's fair enough." And as soon as they found out who the gay kid's dad was, they were like, "You messing with who? The fuck do you think you're playing at?" Because they knew he wasn't to be messed with, even though he was lovely. And
absolutely, yeah.
I imagine that's you're not to be trifled with.
Yeah, I could see that. At work, we do like to push each other's buttons, and I'm very easy going. So someone will go, "Oh, John, not long now before you've got to shave your head and join the ball club." I'm like, "Yeah, pretty much." Oh, wow. Thought I was going to get a rise at you. I'm like, no, it's genuinely true. I think if I try and keep styling the smoke on top of my head, I'd just be kidding myself. Oh, okay. And there was one day I had a particularly bad day. I just wasn't in the mood, and someone was trying to get a rise from me. I just turned around and said, "Fuck off." Very simply, very plainly, and they left me alone. 20 minutes later, they were like, "Is everything all right?" And I was like, "No, everything's not all right." Thank you for taking a step back and leaving me with my thoughts for a couple of minutes. It's much appreciated, because I do wear my emotions on my sleeve. It's very easy to know when I'm upset, when I'm happy, when I'm angry, and I think that if I was rutting, as the deers do, and I was putting on the show, going, "Look how fucking big I am," do you want to step up to me? I think people get the idea that I was going to get down with the ladies, and they really have to step up their game if they're going to try and invade and encroach on my harem of does, if you know what I mean.
See, I don't disagree with that whatsoever. I'm not forcing John. You are at any point you can call it. I'm just keeping an eye on the time because I'm sure you have better things to do. He told us at the beginning, didn't he, John? He had better things to do than record today, so I'm just trying to help him out. But really must be confusing for people if people happen to listen to this and I forget to edit it one week where they can only hear one side of the conversation. It sounds like I'm talking to just imaginary friends, both called John, where I'm like, John, what do you think? Oh, yes, John, I agree with you, and not John. Anyway, but my final two arguments that I'm going to leave it at and not say anything else, and then we'll see what the gods dictate. No, I'm not going to say gods because then John will get a bit too full of himself. But we live in the 21st century where a show of masculinity, I don't feel, should be a show of strength. It shouldn't be a reason why you should have a mate. But, I mean, people all like different things. We've all got different fetishes. We found out last week. Yeah, so...
Just keep digging at that, don't you?
The tweets were interesting, anyway. But as well as that, I'll just say that if it was down to a show of masculinity and wasn't down to a show of what is essentially known as peacocking, where you're just showing off what you look like, then Tinder wouldn't be a thing. We'd all date by the world's strongest man and world's strongest woman. But Tinder exists because we are a shallow, shallow people. We all judge people. We judge books by their covers. Everybody knows, no matter how comfortable you are in your relationship, when you see someone of the opposite sex, it might not be the first thing that goes through your head, but at some point you've probably gone yes or no. Just yes or no as to whether you would potentially have sex with them. I'm not even going to say the word intercourse, but have sex. But we all know that. You never discuss it. Every single one of you listeners now, you'll be listening there with your partner and say, no, I don't think that, no. If you're comfortable in a relationship, you'll go, yeah, I do, but I'm choosing you.
I like the idea that people sit down to listen to this with their partners, with their families, like it's the 1960s and television's just been invented.
Well, that's all we're trying to do. We're trying to open up this discourse of this way of thinking of would you rather. It's opening up an argument, but it doesn't need to be an argument, as we've proved, apart from the week that I was extremely sleep deprived. But it's opening up a conversation that we can disagree but still be friends. The three of us have been friends for, God, what was it? So I met you, John, who was asking questions this week when we were in year 11. I think we met in year 10, but year 11 was when we became friends. So we were 15, 16. We're now 29. And John, we met you in sixth form.
Mm-hmm.
So that was a year later.
That was when I was 18. Yeah.
Yeah. And you're now, 47?
Feels like it.
So
back in my day.
So if we take an average, we've known each other for 25 years. We're all still friends, and Lord knows, even though we're best friends, we agree on maybe 4% of everything that we think.
I think that's being generous.
That's being extremely generous.
Did you have a second point?
What part of this conversation is where I get to defend being all trousers and no mouth?
Yeah, well, no,
when you go for your peacock and you go, oh my god, he's amazing, look how beautiful he is. You get him home and you bang, and then he doesn't offer to make you breakfast in the morning. When I go gall someone with my fucking antlers, you go, wow, this man means business.
Here's your breakfast, lick it off the lawns.
Pretty much. You know I've got the goods. I've just delivered. Are you not impressed? Are you not entertained?
You've delivered and you've delivered.
Actions speak louder than words.
Okay, I'm calling it there. The idea of you lifting somebody up over your head with some antlers, I couldn't come back from that. That's where you want it, to be honest. It was a good 5 minutes ago now. Deers win. Deers win.
It wasn't a deer anyway. I graciously accept defeat now. I've learned this, but I'm just saying. So if I surgically get antlers attached to my head and then come and lift your wife above my head, you will step back graciously and I can have her.
No, you've got to lift John above your head because you've got to fight John for his lovely wife.
Oh, okay, yeah, no problem. It doesn't weigh much.
Neither does she really, so.
Okay. So, I'm coming.
Hey Matt, do you want my wife?
Yeah? to be honest, when I said that, I wasn't really addressing either of you. You just happened to assume that I was addressing him. I was just addressing collectively and seeing who nibbled. But yeah, I'll take him. Take either
do you
one.
want to come get some?
I mean, to be fair, you're both
Yeah.
quite stubborn when it comes to a fight.
So let those two know on Twitter how many times you've been gored with antlers. Right, would you rather go barefooted or wear clogs?
Clogs.
Why?
A little
Imagine
mouse
walking
with
across
clogs on went
Imagine
clip
walking across-
clippity clop on the stairs. Where? There on the stair. There on the stair I declare a little mouse with clogs on. Windmill in old Amsterdam. Fucking boom.
Wow. I don't know where to go from here.
That song wouldn't exist without clogs. One of the greatest songs ever written.
Yeah, that's exactly why I've heard of it.
You've never heard that song?
No, never heard that song. But
do you think I'm having a fever? Are you having a fever dream? You think
I thought you were having a turn. I thought
that is the glory of the song.
repressed musical side of you, was.
My fantastic stepfather used to sing that song, and he would just be sat there in silence, and he had this amazing thing of managing to go from 0 to 100 with his voice, and he'd just be sat there in silence. I'll give you 3 seconds of it. Clogs on, clip, clip. But he would make everyone in the room jump, and all he'd be singing is Mouse with Clogs on. And for years, me and my aforementioned brother thought he was fucking mad. We were like, we've never heard this song. Must be a grown-up people thing. And then we finally heard the song and was like, oh no, he's singing an actual song. Windmills from Old Amsterdam. Amazing song. Clogs.
And if you wore clogs, you wouldn't be able to walk barefoot across the beach and feel the sand in your toes, feel the cold sea
I hate
roll
sand.
up over.
I
love sand.
I'm going to say my next comment, and then because I've made such an amazing first argument, I'm going to give you a solid 3 minutes of my silence. But sand,
all you doing was shouting about fucking mice and clogs.
Sand is just
Clogs!
Sand is just glitter, and everybody knows that glitter is just gay sand. So that's the end of my argument for at least 3 minutes. You can say what you want now for 3 minutes, I promise.
Okay, John, you're a travel man. You've been across the world. Do you think walking across a sandy beach in clogs is preferable to walking barefoot and a lovely wife? He's left the room. He knows he's lost.
he's just left the debate. Oh.
Right, can I talk for 3 minutes about not wearing clogs? Right, no one likes clogs. Ninjas from 16th century Japan, just bound their feet up in cloth and ran everywhere silently. Because if they wore clogs, it would sound horrific. I think there's a lot of places where walking around barefoot is, it's acceptable, it's fine. On holiday, gives you that holiday feel. I can't think of anywhere where you'd want to wear clogs. They're made of wood. They're clompy. I couldn't wear them at work because they're not got steel toe caps. I wouldn't wear them jogging. I wouldn't wear them on my bike. Imagine going through Tesco's. Clomp, 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 clomp. You probably get more looks of people going, what the hell is going on there? That if you just wandered around in barefoot, people would think you'd lost the plot more if you were walking around in clogs than if you just happened to be in bare feet.
I can give you some interesting facts about bare feet and clogs. First of all, in New Zealand, it's quite a popular thing that people just walk around barefoot. Don't know why. They just do. You go to the supermarket, people are just walking around barefoot in the supermarket. And clogs are a popular shoe, or at least it used to be. I don't know whether it still is a thing, but surgeons wear them while they're operating because they have to stand around for maybe 4 or 5 hours, depending on the operation, and they need the blood to keep circulating around their feet. So they wear clogs in the surgical theatre. Make of that what you will.
Well, I'm going to make of your facts. I know you said that they were going to be interesting facts, so I'm hoping you've got more. But I'm going to address two of the things that John said. Number one, he said about ninjas that used to have bandages wrapped around their feet. That's fine. No problem with that. But that's not barefoot. Clues in the title. Fair enough point?
They didn't have a sole on their feet. They just had cloth.
I'm sure ninjas have got soles. There's no need to get existential on them. Remind me what your second point was again about clogs, that not many people wear them.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think there have been more Nike high tops sold than clogs this year.
Yeah.
I'd put money on it.
But that's you being racist. You're not taking into account the whole population of Holland.
I'm sure the Dutch people can buy high tops if they wanted. I'm pretty sure they do.
But I mean, anybody can wear clogs. Anybody can go barefoot. I think it's probably socially acceptable in our country anyway, because, I mean, we are talking about you and I, to go out wearing clogs and to go out wearing barefoot. What do you think when you see someone that goes out wearing barefoot? It might be okay in New Zealand, in their carefree lifestyle, and basically idealising hobbits, but in this country, if I see someone barefoot, I think they're going to ask me for change, and I've got nothing wrong with giving people change. I just assume that they can't afford shoes.
Rather than they're easygoing and they're laid back. Whereas I think if someone was going to walk around in clogs near me, I think they either were very lost or they'd lost the plot.
Also, I quite like the sound of horses. And how do you make a horse sound? 2 coconuts together. What do you think it would sound like if I ran in clogs?
Depends what surface you're running on. It wouldn't make that noise on grass.
Exactly, so the sound...
Horses make more of a thud.
And you well...
Don't you be educating the country boy on horses. That's one thing I have got.
I'm just saying I'd rather be wearing shoes than no shoes.
Right, okay. John, when you're getting down to business with your lady, would you rather be barefoot or would you rather be knocking clogs?
I mean, I think that's her choice.
That's a very personal question. Don't know if either of you would like the answer.
Does she make you keep your socks on?
She makes him wear her shoes.
Ah, yeah, I could see that.
Yeah. She's actually, and I know your wife has attested this as well, John, she's probably got the best shoe taste of any of the women I've ever met. She always has amazing shoes every time I've ever met her. And I've heard your wife attest to that. I've heard various other friends that we've had the whole time we've been friends with you, John, reference it. She's got amazing taste in shoes, so there is nothing wrong with the best way for you to get your mojo is wearing her shoes, because they're that good. I don't blame you.
Right, well, I'm feeling quite torn. I'll fill you in on where I am. I've never bought a pair of clogs, but
do you need to?
I don't know, but I do have a pair of slippers that look like clogs, and they're quite cool. And yeah, I like being barefoot sometimes when the occasion arises.
In public?
Well, I mean, people aren't generally too offended by my feet, but I guess...
When's the last time you were barefoot in public?
When I ran across the road to go get ice cream from the ice cream man.
More than 10 metres from your house and not including a beach or a public...
Yes, it was more than 10 metres away. I had to go...
How good is your hearing that you heard that ice cream man that you ran that far?
We were in the back garden. We drove past the house and then came back again.
I'm just saying barefoot is appropriate in some places, and should barefoot be socially acceptable, I would probably agree with you. Unfortunately, it's not socially acceptable. And we're not talking about changing the social norms. Shoes are more acceptable. So other than the acceptable places to be barefoot, it is not appropriate. Whereas all the places it's appropriate to be barefoot, you can also wear clogs. And as you
Man, we've
previously
been through
mentioned,
this many times.
knocking
The heart
clogs.
wants what the heart wants. It doesn't matter if it's appropriate. The heart wants what the heart wants. If I want to go around with no shoes on and people don't like it, then they can at least respect my views. I'm not hurting anyone. I'm not forcing my feet in anyone's
Well,
face.
that's the
You
problem.
can't even hear me walking down the street.
That's
Whereas clomp,
that's the
clomp,
problem. They
clomp, clomp.
can't hear you walking up behind them, and you say what doesn't hurt, but then you're ramming into them and then holding them above your head to exhale your dominance.
That's another argument. I simply couldn't imagine you peacocking with clogs on and being successful.
I could
It's a very
tap.
specific
I
look.
would tap dance in clogs to make everyone look at me while I'm wearing my crushed velvet jacket and my multicoloured vest and my fitted flat cap that's got like feathers on it. Let everyone look at me, and
And they think you escaped from the fucking loony bin.
hey, that I am more likely that if 100 people look at me, one of them will want to fuck me than if nobody looks at me.
What if I don't want people looking at me? What if I'm insecure and I've got to show dominance and warn people away from me by lifting them above my head?
Well, that's
That's
like
my last resort.
that's a sneak attack. That's normally like the second upgrade you get in any computer game.
So therefore, it's more essential to the storyline than feathers in your hat.
I mean, you're talking about killing people. I'm talking about procreating. And if we're not here to procreate, what are we here for? We're here to continue the human race until the planet explodes or runs out of resources and we all die. But essentially, we're here to continue the human race. That's the whole point. You want to end it. I want to continue it, says the man with no children and you with one.
I don't want to end the human race. I just
Then
don't want to be
stop killing
taken.
people
I
with
just
your
don't wanna be-
horns.
I just don't want to be taken fly from Yankee Doodle Dandy with a feather in his cap.
I'm just trying to continue the human race, not sneak up on them and kill them with my appendages.
Doing a poor
Wait,
job. When I
wait.
procreate,
I would love to wear clogs, wouldn't you?
no is the answer because I'm arguing against clogs. So I'm going for bare feet.
I mean, I'm definitely going to agree, but I am going to, if we, at whatever point this podcast takes off and we make money for it, the first amount of maybe £1,000 that I make from it, I'm going to hire a PI to get me a copy of your search history because your puns always seem a little too late and convenient.
You should hear the things he thinks about when he's in the shower. Just washing his hair. Oh, could have said that. Oh.
It's alright, I know what he thinks about in the shower because I can lip read. Well, I've said too much. Decision time.
I don't know.
Can I just put something out there? Can I put a third option out there?
Go on then.
Cowboy boots.
Well,
I own
Yeah.
a pair of cowboy boots and they are fucking awesome.
well, yeah, everyone knows cowboy boots are better than either of those options.
Yeah.
Cowboy Boots wins.
Yay, everyone's a winner.
Wait, so John wins because he gave an alternate.
Oh, yeah.
I couldn't get half my argument out because you were opening doors and shouting at me and just talking over me constantly. So I think you'd better give me that one.
I don't think I was.
Yeah, you were. You were definitely opening doors.
I opened a door.
It squeaked about 45 times.
It's a very good door.
It's good if you've got burglars, but bad if you've got sleeping housemates.
I mean, one of them affects me, one of them doesn't.
Right. Well, that was a excellent episode.
And so say all of us. Seriously, though, have neither of you two ever heard of a windmill in Old Amsterdam?
Yeah, I've
No.
heard it.
Just me then. Sorry to be the uncultured swine.
I think we sang it in primary school.
It's an amazing song.
I don't know why we did, but we did.
It's by Ronnie Hilton, A Windmill in Old Amsterdam. Ronnie Hilton. Everybody listen to it. It's a champion song. It's probably it's like the ugly sister of Waltzing Matilda. It's just as good, but not as well known.
Is it better than Karma by Parkway Drive?
Yeah, I think it is. I think it is better.
In the music video, they're all like surfing and playing metal on the beach in the sand, and it's brilliant.
I've been John, and my brain is all clogged up.
And I've been John, and I totally deserve to win that one that time.
I've been not John, and it's been stolen from me again. But it's just revenge after 6 months. 6 months of torture.
And the first one you got was a given.
But the first one I got was a given?
Yeah, the pun question was a given.
Yeah, but I don't think... Have we had a whitewash week? Anybody that's listening, tweet at any of us or send pigeon signals or whatever the fuck he's been asking for this week. I don't think there's ever been a whitewash week of someone's won all three of them.
Not in the new format, no.
Or in the old format, I don't think there was.
I think I've won. I think I've had one whitewash.
As in you won or you lost?
I won.
Oh.
I think there was once where I went 3 for 3 and John was very disappointed.
Okay. Well, if anybody can prove that, because, I mean, I hate recording it and editing it, let alone listening back to it. So I'm not going to listen back to them all a fourth time. So if anyone can help us out, if you've heard of a whitewash episode, if you recently got on board, if you've got suggestions for questions, if you hate how nasally my voice is this week because I've got a cold, if you like the fact that John's got a new microphone, if you like the fact that John doesn't let his wife leave the house and that the longer I talk, the longer his dinner's getting cold, just tweet us and let us know. This has been Would John or Not John Rather. It's been a pleasure, as always. Thank you for listening, and we send our love to every single one of you because it's 6 months and it means a lot that anybody's listening, let alone, thank you.
We couldn't do it without you. We probably would, though.
Sayonara. Speak to you all next week.
Lego.
Okay, I really, really need to go eat now before I eat my own face.
That is a single great news yet.